done! You will know pain!
Hello and welcome, Exiles, to the next update to the Guardian Righteous Fire character, this being update number 6, I believe. And we're looking at a massive 12 to 13,000 ES increase from the last time you saw it. You saw it at 22k ES. This character upgrades that happened between then and now are 5 things. Number 1, our helical ring, which, by the way, after 19 tries, we finally hit the 1 in 10, and we hit it with the second to lowest possible multiplier. So quite frankly, I think I might go again on this and try to get a higher multiplier on it if I can find the time. But for right now, I decided, you know what? Fine, we'll take it. We'll upgrade other pieces. But this ring could have up to, I think, close to 190 to 200 int and close to 50 all attributes instead. So it's the difference in, I think, over about 100 int in the difference in a good roll versus a bad roll between your two rings. So it's a pretty big net gain for this character to have that upgraded a little bit better, as well as another 20 dot multi could be found here. The next upgrade we have is our helmet, which we crafted for percent int, flat int, and negative 12 fire res. The way we did that is we did the beast lock method where we got a helmet with percent int. We made it a magic base by getting percent int isolated. Suffix can be changed scour, that makes it a magic base. And then we do the Kalguur beast lock method where we check it against helmets until we find a combination that gives us good int. When I saw T2 int, I said, you know what, that's good enough for me. I could have kept going for T1 intelligence, but quite frankly, I was very low on funding at the time, and I just thought that's good enough, I'll go with it. After which you do a vision craft, which is essentially suffix can't be changed, scour, block life, slam, slam. And then you just keep repeating that until you get some ES mods, either hybrid plus flat or hybrid plus percent, which is what I have here, or percent plus flat, and then you craft hybrid. But the idea here is getting a decent ES helmet. We're not ever going to get to 600 ES unless you start considering Hinekora lock slamming for the final ES mod, and that's just way out of the price range. So that's the helmet upgrade there. Just going over upgrades briefly, when we swapped the helical, which is basically giving us 2 ring upgrades instead of 1 because we Kalandra's touch it, this was roughly around I think a 40% damage increase when I did it, and it gave me about 3,000 energy shield. When I did this helmet, it was, I think, roughly a 20 to 25% damage increase with about 2k ES improvement. And then we did about 1,500 ES improvement per cluster. I did 3 large clusters. These are essentially what you do is you chaos spam. So you have 2 T1 stats you care about. I care about effect, I care about ES, I care about int. Those are priority stats. After that, all attribute or chaos res or even elemental res are all good options. I hit effect on a lot of my clusters, but then you'll notice on my clusters, suffixes, I have int all res, and I also have int chaos res. At one point, I had int all attribute, but I swapped that one around because it was kind of a settle. And quite frankly, all of these are off by a tier or 2. But let me explain why that's not as bad as you might think. Like, for example, here I have 25 effect. Everybody always says 35, you need 35, blah, 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 blah. When you're making a lot of your clusters, 25 versus 35 effect is one of the most marginal increases out of the different T1s. Like, T1 int versus T2 int is a very big difference. It's the difference in having 6 flat int per node and 4 flat or 10 flat int per node based on how rounding works. 25 effect versus 35 effect, you still get 10 int, that stays the same. And then the one difference is you still get 1 more chaos res, that doesn't change. The one difference is our ES and fire damage would go from 15 to 16. So that's the primary difference between 25%. So it's one of the, if you're gonna settle, it's one of the best settles you can do is to have 25 versus 35 effect. And then you'll notice I settled on the Chaos Res here, and I settled on, I believe, the Chaos Res here as well. So you notice multiple clusters. We settled a bit on what rolls we had, but I don't have a ton of currency, and so I'm just getting stuff that works. Eventually, if I get the money, I will recraft these. If you're wondering how I crafted these, believe it or not, Chaos Orbs. Chaos Orbs are super cheap right now compared to everything else. They were heavily devalued due to the tumbling Chaos mod. And believe it or not, Chaos Orbing until you hit 2T1 stats and then do Annul Slams. That's the method I used. You can also do Reforge Chaos. You can also do Reforge Defense. And you can also do Fundamental Fossils. But at the price point of all those things, because Chaos is deflated in comparison to those, in terms of value, I felt Chaos Orbs were a decent option in Necro Settlers. If you're not in Necro Settlers, I would probably do Fundamental Fossils, or Reforge Chaos is probably my top picks for crafting. If the Chaos is undervalued, then I would go that way. Now, I may have lied at the beginning here because I said I did 5 upgrades. That's not exactly true. I also did a wand upgrade, which I forgot about, which is not perfect, like most of these crafts. We settled in one way or another, and in this way, we could have fire.multi and then bench crafted damage over time. Roughly would be probably about a 15 to 20% damage increase, maybe 15% damage increase if I was gonna rough estimate it. And you may be wondering, Lance, why are you using a wand? Why do you have a wand here? Why did you recombinate? You could have a scepter with 40% elemental damage. There is a reason for that. And the reason is the enchants on scepters just suck, but the enchants on wands are kind of good. The two primary good enchants that happen on a wand, for example, I guess I haven't upgraded my bench at all, but when I go through and upgrade that thing, there's an enchant that is called Shepherd of Souls, and there's an enchant called Haunted Tormented Spirits. Tormented Spirits is basically just a speed upgrade. You get more speed while walking around. I think that alone, it also gives percent damage and like cast and attack speed. I think that alone is a better upgrade than having a scepter. That one's super expensive, but that's not even the one I want. The one I want is actually called Shepherds of Souls. What that does is it makes your Val Soul cost 80% less, and then you get a increased cost every time you use a Val skill for the next 8 seconds. The plan is with Val Righteous Fire, if you have 80% less, you can store up to 5 cast of Val Righteous Fire with 40 souls at 8 souls per cost. What ends up happening is Val Righteous Fire, if you have, if I swap out Swift Affliction and Life Tap for Awakened AoE Conk Effect, which is similar AoE, maybe a slightly better AoE, and slightly lower damage, I can then have close to a 7-second Val Righteous Fire. And what ends up happening is I charge up 40 souls, I have 5 uses of Val RF, I press Val RF, the soul cost goes from 8 to 16, but the Val RF will last for the close to the entirety of the 8-second duration where you have that increased cost, So what ends up happening is you press Val RF, you use it through the entire 8 seconds, it turns off, your Val soul cost goes back down, and you can press Val RF again. Essentially what Shepherd of Souls allows you to do is have close to 100% uptime on Val RF in most boss fights. If you think about doing a boss fight, usually you can get 1 to 2 Val skills per fight you do. If you're using Shepherd of Souls, you're talking about the soul cost of getting like what essentially would be using Val RF like 10 times throughout a fight if you space it out properly. And no fight in this game is going to last through that many Val RFs. Normally you can get through a fight with only 1 or 2 where you still wipe the boss out, especially as I gear up this character more, the DPS is going to get higher and higher. And pretty soon we're just going to be one-clipping bosses with Val RF. So that's the enchant I'm going for. And eventually, as I upgrade the Guardian, we will get more regen and more recovery, and then Val RF will be safer and safer to press. We're at a pretty safe point where we usually don't kill ourselves with Val RF. We still can, but as we upgrade the character, we will start to nullify the scenario where even when we use 70% of our ES to proc Val RF, we're nowhere close to dying type of thing. So anyways, that's the idea with the wand. Those were the upgrades we made. And that's how we got from 22,000 to 35,000 ES. And now let's go ahead and get in and give you guys a little showcase of what this looks like doing Uber Elder, and then we'll do a Eater showcase just to give you a little look-see of what we're doing for boss fights. Farming currency. When I was doing the ring craft, I did essences because I wanted Essence of Delirium. When I was doing the helmet craft and the cluster crafts and all these all the wand craft, I've been doing boss farming, just doing like invitations, Uber Elders, feared rotations, all that sort of stuff is what I've been doing, and it's been pretty chill, honestly. I will probably, after my next upgrade, which is going to be a shield, which is going to greatly improve the tank of this character, I will end up probably start going to level again. I'm 98. I'm not really trying to level too hard. I've been doing like tank test and limit testing and stuff, standing in Cirrus Clouds and stuff like that. But once I do my shield upgrade, which will give me recover on block and will be much harder to kill at that point, then I might start thinking about going for level 99 and level 100 maybe. But yeah, slowly but surely we're filling out the gear progression. The next goals are going to be a shield craft. And then after the shield craft, we're going to be looking at crafting a body armor and mage blood. Those are some of the gear crafts we're looking at next. Eventually I would like to maybe mirror the boots that Ashamar made. He made some percent int boots with really good ES. But that, mage blood, chest piece, they're all going to require some gear farming, and we'll see how that goes. Ultimately, we don't know what's happening today for the reveal stream of PoE 2. And there might be some stuff that I'm really like excited at digging into. And so, depending on how that goes, I may delay the progress of this character to do some deep diving into, like, let's say they give us a passive tree. I'm gonna want to dig through that and probably make some videos on that. So I'll just keep you guys on the heads up. I plan to continue this project as far as I can get until PoE 2, but I may get sidetracked with, you know, digging into some of that intel when they give us information on ascendancies and all sorts of stuff like that. Okay, so this is Uber Elder, and then we'll do a Eater fight. I'm so pumped for PoE 2, by the way. I think it's going to be just a whole new basket of builds to create and new skills, new ascendancies. The skill tree looks like it's like 50% larger in terms of the amount of nodes on it than the current passive tree that we currently know in PoE 1. And I can't tell you how much that excites me. So I'm going to be streaming that on Twitch. And we'll see how that goes. I will say this is a random little side note for me. I've been dealing with having Comcast as my internet service provider for the past 2 years. And more recently, I finally got the option to get fiber in my area. And maybe if I can figure it out, I might be able to set up simultaneously streaming YouTube and Twitch. If that ends up being the case, you'll see maybe start seeing some streams here on YouTube. I'd have to take some time to figure out setting that up, but that would be something I'd be interested in looking into. I never did it I never did it before because it was always a matter of oh hey, a Forbidden Flesh Jewel. Nice, I can ID that. It was always a matter of with Comcast I just didn't even have the upload. I could barely support streaming to one thing. I don't know why that guy's messaging me. But anyways, Forbidden Flame to end the video. Boom! Spellbreaker. Honestly, Trickster Note, very nice. I don't know if this has sell value. Let's see. Spellbreaker, there's none online. That might have sell value. I don't really know for Necro Settlers. We'll see. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this update to the Guardian Righteous Fire character and seeing the progression of this character and what it can become as you continue to upgrade the gear. As always, thanks for watching, Exiles. Take care and peace out. Have a good one.